Hey, what's going on, guys? So today we're talking about a YCS Denver report. It's exciting. Anderson Zhang, he's the newest YCS champion. He beat 716 people. It was 2 days. I believe it was 10 rounds of Swiss. And he had Inferno. And now let's take a look at the top 32 decks. The least represented deck in the top 32, which means that this deck is actually, the deck is actually probably pretty good, but it was still the least represented in the top 32. It was actually Cosmos, unless you count Spirals as well, because Spirals is also only represented once in the top 32. But it was a pure Cosmo build piloted by David Lopez. That's actually pretty interesting to see Cosmos get 14th place. But the next least represented deck in the top 32, and this is actually going to be, in my opinion, this is a surprise, is Invoked. Not only Invoked, but just like Invoked variants. Like, I figured Wind Witch Invoked would be higher, like there'd be more decks like this in the top 32. So I think this really speaks volumes to the way Invoked is in this meta. While Invoked can open very busted, they can have a Walking Book of Moon with a Crystal Wing backed by D-Berry or Sanctum. There are also a lot of very bricky hands, and the deck does kind of turn into Magical Meltdown or Bust. You know, like I said, being in the top 32 alone means that you as an Orc type and you as a duelist are good. But you take a look at Invoked, I just honestly think that it really just isn't that good. I just think Invoked is the most expensive deck of the format, and that might be another reason why people are kind of turning away from it. But the number 3 least represented deck in the top 32, which is actually really surprising if you know what the number 4 least represented deck in the top 32 is, was Paleozoics. Paleozoics, the highest place they got was 11th. They were represented 3 times, only 3 times in the top 32, and they were, I believe, the pure variants. They could have been 60 card Paleo, and it just didn't put it in the article, but they only got 11th. This is coming off the heels of Paleozoics just winning back-to-back YCSs, not regionals, but winning back-to-back YCSs right before the ban list. So it's actually, in my opinion, very, very surprising. I look at Paleo and I see that this deck is super busted, super consistent. It's got super great late game. It's pretty decent mid game, and its early game, especially if it goes first, is actually really strong as well. So it doesn't really have a bad spot. But if the deck doesn't, if the deck's out is drawn by its opponent, and the out to that out, like a Book of Moon or the Raigeki or obviously the Chaos Traples or Solemn Warning, if that isn't like if you don't see that as a Paleozoic player, going up against Danko, you lose. And actually in that number 33 deck, the person had what he referred to as 6 Danko Sakas. He ran Photon Cerberus because he had a deck that was strictly going OTKing, and he would normal summon Photon Cerberus, which says neither player can activate trap cards during the turn this card is normal summon. I think that Paleo not doing so well here might have to do with the fact that it is the best deck of the format. I still think it is the best deck of the format, even though it wasn't too represented here because of how hard it was sided against. But the number 4 least represented deck there was Lightstorm. Specifically, 3 different variants of Zombie Lightstorm. That's 4 different Lightstorm variants in the top 32. That's an eighth of the top 32 was Lightstorm variants, and out of that eighth, 3/4 of that eighth was Zombie Lightstorm. So I think this has a lot to do with the fact that Unizombie is a great card, Brilliant Fusion is a great card, Mizuki is a great card, but mostly Omega is a great card. And as long as that card stays at 3, the decks that can make him easily are going to be a problem. And in my opinion, the best level 4 tuner in the game is Raiden. But the fact that you can Raiden, Mewtwo, potentially get a Trick Clown, potentially get a Fairy Tail, potentially get a Wolf, bring them back out, and that's an Omega right there, just off the normal summon of Raiden. And you could still have an extra normal summon with Brilliant Fusion. You can make another Omega off just Unizombie, coming back off Mizuki after Unizombie uses his effect to get Mizuki engraved. So this is just a lot of really good things the deck can do. And I think the deck wasn't really that good coming into the Raging Tempest, but I think now that people see that grass is super busted, that people are running Zombie Lightstorm to very good results. It's actually a tie for the next represented deck. It was actually Inferno. Now the reason Inferno got the edge is because Inferno took first after the round of Swiss and won the actual event. So Inferno gets the edge over Lightstorm, and both of those really do benefit a lot off of that grass looks greener. I think it's actually going to be interesting going forward in the meta because the more, because this is going to incentivize people to play Infernoids. It really is. And in my opinion, Infernoids is the best version of that grass decks because all of that grass decks have the same problem. If they don't draw any spells, they don't draw a Charge of Light Brigade, if they don't draw that grass looks greener, left arm offering, if they don't draw any of those cards and they draw a bunch of monsters, they're kind of dead in the water. I remember when I was testing Skull Servants, that was a huge problem. If I would just draw like Mizuki and all the white cards, and I would just kind of be stuck. I'd have to set a white prince and hope I don't get OTK'd. But Infernoids are good because at the very least, they can banish monsters from their hand and bring out an Infernoid monster. Now that's really not that great of a play, and they're still probably going to get OTK'd, but there at least it still plays there that can help them get to those power cards. And there are a lot more power cards in Infernoids, like Void Feast, and like Void Imagination, and like Future Fusion. I think if you watched the final match of the entire YCS, Future Fusion won duel number 1. And that was a card that I didn't think was very good coming off the ban list. I thought that the errata was going to destroy it and just nuke it and it wasn't going to be playable. I think I was wrong. I think I was dead wrong about that card. And I'm not afraid to admit it because that card is it's actually a lot better than I gave it credit for. And then the next most represented deck was Metafo. Metafo was a deck that I think people just kind of forgot about. You know, it was the best deck pre-Raging Tempest, and a lot of people saw that Zoo just kind of beat it out. But you got to keep in mind that Metafo can run Zoo very well because of the card Bababoon. Also, Metafo got a little bit of a buff, or yeah, got a little bit of some help with Sangan, because Sangan is probably best used in the meta in Metafo, because Metafo can special summon Sangan. They can use him as a level 3 at the very least for some rank 3 plays, like MX Saber Invoker. But also they can pop him to search cards that Sangan searches. And Sangan searches a lot of very good cards. He searches Swift Scarecrow. You know, he can search Battle Fader. He can search DD Crow. He can search Effect Veiler. And he can search Retaliating, Flying, and Max C. I believe he can search Confronting the Sea too. And Shining Black Sea. No one ever sees those cards. But anyway, we're Metafo. I think it also has a lot to do with the Pendulum mechanic being super strong. It was the most represented deck in the top 32. It had 12 decks in the top 32. A lot of people are worried that this is still the best deck of the format. That is a solid worry to have. I still think it's number 2. I still think it goes Paleo, Zoo, and then Infernoid. I still think those are the top 3 decks in that order. But Zodiac is just like, when you have a deck that's borderlining on tier 0, it has 30 of the top 32 at a YCS, and the only thing you do to the deck is take one card away, that really just doesn't do much. So they're still crazy. You can still +5 off Zodiac if you draw like Speeder Terratop and Instant Fusion. And like, yeah, it can be kind of combo heavy because you have to run a little bit more fusion substitutes and a little bit more combo extender cards. But if you get your combos off, it's over. Like, and you can draw 5 cards. You have a Dryden on the board, backed by D-Barrier or Warning or Torrential or all 3. And that's just super busted. Zodiac is still very, very good. It's definitely a deck you need to watch out for. Like I said, I still think Paleo is better than it. But it's actually getting to be a very good option for players to run because less people are signing in for Zodiac because it isn't as good as it used to be pre-ban list, but it's still super good and super strong. That's actually it for the video. That's what I think YCS Denver tells us about the meta, at least what the top 32 tells us. Once again, congratulations to Anderson Zhang for getting first place with his Inferno deck. I actually don't think I've seen a deck profile for him, which is really weird. But if I do find it, I will leave a link down in the description below. But most importantly, have a great day, guys.
Please tell me why you always leave.